I'm going to show you the easiest way to improve your Quran recitation. All I need from you is few minutes. I'm going to help you understand something that you may have never understood before. Now, I'm not saying if you understand something, you'll be able to apply it straight away and you'll be able to get results. But understanding something correctly can lead you to the right place. A lot of times people don't understand what it takes to recite a verse or page from Quran properly. Just before I start, I'm Ustad Hamza. I've been teaching Quran for over 12 years. I learned and taught in Masjid al-Nabawi. Not only that, I'm gifted with dyslexia. Means I find it really hard to read and comprehend things that are written. So if I can master Quran recitation, you can too. If you want to improve your Quran recitation, first you need to know how to recite Quran. You cannot improve something that you learnt wrong. It's like if you spell words wrong in English, you cannot speak English properly. For you to recite this verse as وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى properly, you need to know how each and every word is spelled and why is it that I'm reading it like this and not like that. Let me make this even simpler. If you're spelling words wrong, you're pronouncing letters wrong, then doesn't matter if you can recite Quran fluently, you'll be reading it wrong. As a Quran teacher, I would advise you, don't try to make your Quran recitation fluent. Make it perfect, make it solid, make it accurate, and then fluency will follow. In just 11 steps, I'm going to show you how can you improve your Quran recitation. Let me break it down for you. I promise you it's so simple. This is a verse in Quran. This verse of Quran is made up 5 different words. Now let's look into each one of these words. Wait. Before you even look into these words, do you even know Arabic letters properly? Can you even pronounce them properly? Because if you don't know your Arabic letters properly and you don't even pronounce them properly, most probably you are going to be reading your words wrong. When I teach my beginner students, I call it chapter 1. You master letters and you master how they look and you master the way they're pronounced. An example, this letter here is Ra. If you're pronouncing Ra as Ra, doesn't matter how much you read Quran, you'll be reading any word that has letter Ra in it as a Ra, so you'll be reading wrong. Step number 2, you need to master Arabic letters when they're active. What do I mean by that? This letter here is Mim, but we're not reading it as Mim, we're reading it as Mi. This letter here is Noon, but we're not reading it as Noon, we're reading it as Na. Why? Because Mim has this Kasra underneath it and Noon have this Fatha on top of it. In step number 2, 3 and 4, I want you to master pronunciation of active letters. A lot of times you find people who read Quran, they would read this as me. And so what will happen, rather than reading this as mina, this word, they would say me na. And that's a mistake. Step number 5, you need to master how to read active letters with silent letters. Some letters in Quran are considered silent letters. What do I mean by that? Look at this letter here, for example, this lam. And look at this ya. Now, I'm not going to read this letter on its own. I'm not going to read this letter on its own. It's a silent letter and it needs an active letter with it. Now this letter is going to be read with the letter that is right before it and it would be Khoy. I cannot read this second letter ya on its own. It have to be read with Kha. Khoy. Step number 6, you need to master how to read these active letters with stretching letters. Let me show you an example. This letter is Hamza with the Fatha A. But we're not reading it as just A here. We're reading it as A. This letter here is La. We're not reading it as La. We're reading it as La. The question is why? Because this active letter has a stretching letter with it. So you read it with the stretching letter. And that is the case with all other stretching letters. For example, Li, Lu. You read those letters with the stretching letters. Step number 7, we can skip it because it's very similar. Step number 8, you need to know how to read letters with tanween. Tanween is any letter with 2 fathas, 2 kasras or 2 dhammas. For example, Ra here has 2 dhammas on top. So we are going to read this Ra as Run. Not just Ru, but we're going to read it as Run. This letter here is Mim with 2 fathas. So we're not going to read it as Ma, we're going to read it as Man. Step number 9, you need to know how to read letters with Shadda. What is Shadda? Have a look at this letter here. This is letter Sin. It has a Shadda on top. I'm going to be reading it twice. Massa. Any letter with the Shadda is read twice. Mim here, for example, Amma. Step number 10, you need to understand when rules are not applied. For example, this letter is Hamza. But when we're reading this sentence, we say minal ula. We skip this Hamza here. So you need to know when letters are skipped and when they are ignored and when is it that they're completely silent. Now the final step, step number 11, you need to bring those skills, spelling skills to Quran. For example, if this word here is khayrun and the second word is laka, in Quran you're not going to say khayrun laka, you're going to read it as khayrul laka. Now when you come to Quran, that's when you start implementing some of the tajweed rules that you can't implement when you're learning spelling. If you don't master each and every step or you skip one of the steps, by the time you get to the end and you recite Quran, you will be reciting it and you will be hesitant, you will be reciting it with mistakes, you will be reciting it and you might be taking too long to guess a word before you read it. Remember, if you have one minor error and no one corrects it, then you will get to the end and you will start reciting Quran, repeating that minor error again and again and again. For instance, this is me. If you read it as me, every time you see me in Quran, you will be reading it as me and you will be reading so many words wrong. I really hope I made you understand and realize what it takes to master your Quran recitation. Yes, reading Quran again and again and again can make you a fluent reciter, but if you have mistakes, you will be reading your whole Quran with mistakes. Remember I told you I learned and I taught in Masjid al-Nabawi? Here is a video that can tell you what is ijaza and how I got ijaza from Masjid al-Nabawi.